Chapter 3, we're gonna talk about lip undertones. In doing lip tattoo, we can't really use the normal Fitzpatrick scale that we normally use for skin because the lip tissues is a lot different than the skin that you learned in the previous chapter. So therefore, in order to determine the lip undertones, it really depends on the ethnicity. There are two main groups when it comes to lips. So we have the natural lips and we have the dark melanin lips. The natural lips are basically Caucasian lips. Within this group, there are different undertones as well. The dark melanin lips are categorized into Asian or Southeast Asian lips, Black, African American lips. Each category will have their own undertones. So later on, we'll talk more about this and why understanding the undertones so important when it comes to doing lip blush, because it helps you to determine the outcome of the color of the lips when you choose color. So when the client comes in and show you their desired color result, you have to understand not only the way to mix the colors, but you also need to understand the undertone of their natural lips. For example, for example, um, both you and I can have the same lipstick, right? But that one lipstick that goes on my lips versus your lips is going to be different, right? Or two people with like the same, type of lip undertone, right? But only slightly different undertone. They could have like the same lipstick, right? But on each of their lips, it's gonna look different. That's because of the undertone of the lips that turns the color differently based on like the perception of our eyes. Okay, so understanding the undertone is super important. I have this undertone guidelines that I have in your manual. If you're just taking the online class, you can print this out. If you're coming into the in-person class, then you can have, like a print out of this. This is sort of like a guideline for you to help choosing the right colors for your clients. You'll have different clients with different undertones that will come in to see you. So we have, like number one type, and you can see that their lips is super pale. There's hardly any color on it, and sort of like chalky because there are no colors, so you don't really see the borders, right? So this lip, as you can see, it's like really pale, no color. So any color that goes on this type of lip will for sure, show a lot. Number two is the natural type of undertone where there's a little bit of the pink tone, a little bit of border because of the pink undertone on the lips, okay, but still considered to be light. Three is like a reddish pink. So this is more pigmented than our number two, natural pink. It appears to have like a reddish, rosy undertone. And because they have more undertone on their lips, so they seem to have, a little bit more borders. Every now and then you're gonna see this type of lips. Like their borders get really like zigzaggy, like if they're about to lose their border, you know. So that also happens because, you know, like they have borders, but the borders can be inconsistent. Number 4 on fits 1 to 3 is and fits 1 to 3 is like skin tone. Okay, so skin tone fits 1 to 3, and this is like number 4 of like the lip. Okay, purplish pink. It's again more pigmented than the natural pink, but it appears to have a little bit of that purple in their pink tone, as opposed to this one is like a reddish rosy tone. This one is like a darker pink, like a purplish, like duller looking, right? They have some border, you know, but could be inconsistent. So, for example, if we were to be given a lip color, right? And if you were to apply that lip color on this lip number 3, it's gonna show less than number 1, right? Because number 1 it's like so pale. Okay, so that's gonna help you with like choosing how intense you want the color to be. Okay, on people who already have pigment on their lips, what this means is that you need to increase the intensity of your color, so that way when the color is healed, it's gonna show on this, right? Because if you were to apply a really light color on this lip, it's not gonna show because it's already pigmented. Okay, and we're talking about next one, we're talking about Fitzpatrick 4 skin tone, which is Asian lip undertone. This is guideline for Asian lips. Okay, number 5, moving on to number 5, lip scale. There's the natural tone. It has like a pinky undertone, but you can see compared to this Fitzpatrick 1 to 3 skin tone versus this is like a lot darker, right? So obviously the darker the lips, the more intense your color needs to be. Okay, number 6 is like a peachy. Like you can see that this and this, they're both kind of dark, but the darkness is different. This one is like a brownie peach undertone, whereas like this one is like a brownie pink sort of undertone. Number 7, this is considered to be like a purple Asian lips. Okay, where you see like the pink here, but then they're like hyperpigmentation, uneven hyperpigmentation on these spots. And these spots right here, they're purple. Okay. Blue, number 8 is blue. This lip has like a blue. I know like you can't really see the color blue, but when we're talking about like dark lips undertone, our eyes don't see the blue. This is just a common term when it comes to lips undertone, okay? When we say blue undertone, it's actually kind of like a very dull, dark gray sort of color. When you're new, it's gonna be really hard for you to determine whether it's, you know, if this is purple or blue, because like if you're just looking at this dark part versus this dark part, you're gonna be like, oh, they look the same, you know. But the more experience you have, the more you're gonna be able to you know, to determine whether this is like considered to be blue or purple. Okay, it's considered to be purple when you see the dark part is like it has that pinkish to it, whereas the blue, the dark part is like really gray, super dull looking. So let's take a look at Fitzpatrick 5 to 6 skin tone. These are considered to be melanin dark lip undertone. Okay, again, Fitz 5 to 6, they also have the natural sort of tone. Okay, and as you can see, the natural has that pink undertone, but again, you still see that darkness in it, right? This is considered to be brown, okay, where you see kind of like a peachy but a more intense browny peach versus this, right? And this is considered to be the purple undertone, and this is the blue undertone. Again, this does not look any blue, right? But we're just calling it blue in the lip term, lip undertone term. It's not actually like blue, you know? So when you look at the purple, you can see that like it has the pink to it. Like if you're looking at like this part, right, where it's like dark versus this part, forget about like the inner, right? We're just gonna look at the dark part. Okay, do you see that this dark melanin part, it has a little bit of like purplish to it versus this is just like straight dark? Does that make sense? So why is this all important to like recognize when you're working with fits 4 all the way to fits 6 skin tone, Asian lips to African American lips? Why is it so important for you to distinguish between purple and blue or even brown? Because this is going to help you with determining color, how we're going to neutralize this to this, or neutralizing this to this. Because some people, or you're going to run into some clients that wish that their top lip matches with the bottom lips, or bottom lip match with top lip. Okay, you're gonna run into some clients who wish that their entire lips has this pink tone to it. Okay, you know, of course, people who are happy with the two-toned lips, they're never gonna get lip blush, but you'll get Fitzpatrick 5 or 6, or even Fitzpatrick 4 come in and want to make their lips look more even in terms of color. Okay, so by knowing if their undertone is leaning towards purple or blue or brown is really important, because we're gonna use that to choose the right color to neutralize that to a natural pink shade. Okay, so I will see you in the next chapter. Chapter 4. In this chapter, we will talk about dark melanin lips. So what is melanin? Melanin is the pigment that gives human skin, hair, and eyes colors. Dark-skinned people have more melanin than light-skinned. Melanin converts UV rays into vitamin D. One of the main functions of melanin is to provide protection against skin damage from the sun, because it absorbs UV rays and dissipate the light energy to protect skin as an organ. It also filters out HEV blue light from computers, phone screens, and increased sun exposure of HEV blue light will increase melanin, causing it to rise to the surface of the skin. So this part talks about types of melanin, and I'm not going to go too much into details about this because again, with like these scientific terms and readings, it is available on the online modules that you can read about in your own time. All these like layers and the melanosomes and melanocytes and stuff like that. So feel free to read about it. Conditions of melanins such as albinism or melasma or vitiligo's, these are all conditions of melanin. And this is just on skin. We haven't talked about the lips yet. So now we're gonna talk about melanin lips. Okay, so melanin lips, also called dark lips, it is caused by genetics or ethnicity. The melanin level distributes throughout their body, including the lips. Dark lips happen to Fitzpatrick 3 and up, usually Fitzpatrick 4. 5 and 6 would get melanin or dark lips. And those are, you know, with the heritage of in Asia, Africa, Polynesia, South America, First Nations, and Mediterraneans also. They usually come from heritage with high sunlight environments. People with more melanin in their skin will have more melanin in their lips. Depending on the darkness, that could take multiple sessions of neutralizations, as we talked about. One thing that you want to keep in mind is that PMU will not change or take away the melanin. It can camouflage the darkness of the lips, but it does not take away. Camouflaging is so-called, you know, neutralizing the darkness, but it does not take away. So therefore, it requires multiple sessions. What is hyperpigmentation? Hyperpigmentation is not the same as melanin-rich lips. Hyperpigmentation is basically dark spots that appears on the lips, which is caused by environmental factors or trauma to the lips. It can appear as a form of freckles or dark patches that make the lip color uneven. And it can happen to all skin tones. Even Fitzpatrick 1 to 3 skin tone can still experience a little bit of uneven pigmentations. Like sometimes you see they have like a little bit of that like brown spots or like the Fordyce things like that. Fitzpatrick 4 to 6 though will be more prone to hyperpigmentation. And it may be more visible because their lips are already dark to begin with. And what causes hyperpigmentation? It could be due to sun exposure, excessive sun exposure, HIP, which is post-inflammation hyperpigmentation that is caused by an injury. So therefore, they're diagnosed with HIP, loss of pigment. And you definitely don't want to work on this type. Injury or scarring can cause hyperpigmentation as well, such as like from a chemical burn, acne, or dermatitis, or even a cut. Smoking is one of the biggest factors that cause hyperpigmentations, that nicotine shrinks and narrows blood vessels, reducing blood flow. And so therefore there's no oxygen in the lip tissue to make the lips remain healthy. And again, it's more about the exposure to the tar and nicotine that, you know, cause melanin to the lips or gums and darken the area that leads to uneven pigmentation. So again, it's really hard to treat hyperpigmentation in smokers. If they keep smoking, it will more likely to come back. Some other medical conditions, such as, Addison's element, in which it can create dark patches appear on the skin and dark lips and gums. Hormonal changes, like pregnancy, could change the color of the lips, nipples, and cheeks and whatnot. Lack of hydration. When the lips are always chapped and dry, it can damage the mucous membrane and it causes it to be more sensitive to the sun. Too much caffeine can cause this as well. And like it affects the pigmentation in the long run. All right, I will see you in the next chapter. In this chapter, we will talk about color theory. The terminology of describing colors, it can get pretty confusing when we're talking about like different terminologies when we're describing colors. And again, this is more kind of like an art term. In layman terms, you probably won't even need this. So basically, hue means color. It's just another way of saying color is to call it hue. Okay, saturation means the intensity of the color. For example, when we say high saturated colors, it means that it's a color that looks really bright, like hot pink, for example. Desaturated colors will look dull and muted, so that could be like mauve. Okay, the value refers to light versus dark or low versus high. Temperature means warm, neutral, or cool. Honestly, when I talk to my client during consultation, I just say colors. Okay, I just use normal term that clients can understand, like the colors. Or do you want a pink that is like more muted or like bright, I never say, okay, what's the hue that you want? It's like, okay, what do you mean? So these are just like like the term that is used in like when we're talking about like colors or even in like lip blush amongst professionals. Okay. But when you're actually like working on clients, you really rarely use these kind of terms, except for temperature. Because we do say, okay, like a warm color or cool color, right? Okay, so hue is, again, it's referring to color. And what that means is that it's like pure color. So for example, this is the base color. The pure color is like red, okay? A tint means the color adding white. Tones mean the color adding gray. Shades means the color adding black. Honestly, like your clients were not gonna know what is the differences between the tints, tones, and shades, right? Before, I even like started doing lips or even like learning in depth on colors. I didn't even know the differences. So, this is just for you, for us to sort of like refer to, but very rarely we actually like use these. So when you add white into a pure color, you get a more, like sheer result where it's like milky, right? When you add gray, and you can see that it looks more like muted. And when you add black, it increases the intensity, but the the result is like darker, right? More intense. Okay. When we're talking about monochromatic color, for natural lips, we can move straight into the target colors, which means these are the target colors. We use monochromatic color wheels, okay, which is like different shades of pink and red. Obviously, you know, we don't use green or blue in lip blush. This is just like a monochromatic color wheel for you to see, but often I use kind of like half of this wheel right here. Like I show the client that we're gonna be using like this, or like if they want peachy, it's gonna be like over here. If they want more like mauve, it's gonna be like here because it obviously adding more purple into the color, right? So that's that. And then when we neutralize the dark lips, obviously we're gonna be using like over here, making it like warmer because dark means cold. Okay, so you actually have this as your printout in the workbook. Or you can print out extra, download it and print out extra and keep it by your station. So that way, if your clients ever ask, like, do you have like a palette of color? Generally, I don't have a palette of color, and I explain to the clients why. Because we mix all the colors, like we custom mix the colors, number one. Number two, the palette will be more likely to be on like a white paper, and our lips are not white. Our lips has color underneath. So each color is going to show differently on white paper versus on their lips. So therefore, we don't have a palette because everybody's lip undertone is different. So therefore, the palette doesn't resemble what the color is truly going to be when it goes onto your lips. Okay. This is advanced color theory now that we understood what affected dark lips. It is the brown, which, you know, if you did read about the scientific terms of the melanin, is the eumelanin. That's the name of the melanin that determine the brown or the black that is in the lips. But, you know, we just know that it's categorized as melanin, right? The body doesn't, like I said, the body doesn't actually make blue or purple melanin. The color that we see in the lips is just, you know, just resembling blue, purple, or brown because they're classified as cool undertone, okay? It's just how our eyes perceive color. So for example, we got this natural lip. So our natural lip has, you know, like blood vessels and whatnot. And obviously it's like reddish pink. And then here comes the eumelanin. That's the name of the melanin, is eumelanin. That is added into the hair. So depending on the amount of this, that makes it either purple or blue, right? The more melanin the person has, the more blue it's gonna be because there's gonna be more melanin, right? The least melanin the person has, it's gonna be more like purple. Or if they don't have melanin on their lips at all, then it's gonna be, you know, just like the natural lip color. Okay. So because they are classified as cool tone, therefore, when we're applying color theory onto purple or blue lips, we must use complementary color wheels. So what does that mean? Complementary color are color that are exactly the opposite on the color wheels that will cancel out that color. So for example, if the lips is classified as blue, right? You want to use orange directly opposite from the blue to cancel that out, to cancel the blue out. If the lip is purple, you want to use yellow, right? To cancel that out. But you can't apply only yellow, right? You're gonna need a little bit of orange in there because it's always, the lips is always like purplish, blue, kind of like this area right here. So therefore you're gonna use like an orange that has like yellow color in it to correct it. Okay, so always keep that in mind and refer back to the color wheel. If you want to cancel a color out, use the exact color that are like opposite from it. That's called the complementary color. Okay, and you can read more about this, like what is monochromatic colors, tertiary, secondary colors, and so on. So again, because the lips are classified as cool, we have the cool over here. So, and then right across from it is the warm color. And right across from it is like all these three colors, either like an orange or like a yellow orange to cancel out. Okay, so what we do is that we have to use these color first, apply them on the lips, like the first pass or two passes, depending on how dark the lips are, okay, before you actually use the target color, okay? So for lips that are natural, you know, like natural lips, Fitzpatrick 1 to 3 skin tone, you're going to apply, you know, like straight color, like any of these color straight on, and it would take immediately, okay? But with dark lips, lips that are like, let's say Fitzpatrick 4 to 6, you can't apply this straight on because it will be covered by the melanin, because the melanin is way too dark that is sitting on the top, okay? You're not gonna see the color. So therefore you need to neutralize or camouflage the melanin with one of these colors, like an orange or a yellow orange. Cancel that out, okay? Neutralize that out first before you can apply any of these color on the top. So any of these colors we call target colors, okay? Any of the orange or yellow orange we call neutralized color, okay? So you would need to apply the neutralized color first onto lips that are dark. So let's go back to the dark lips undertone, okay? So for Fitzpatrick 4, like Asian lips, okay? Number 5, this undertone right here, you might not need the neutralized color. This lip might can just, you know, forepass one of the neutralized color. However, because of the Fitzpatrick 4 skin tone, there is guaranteed to have some sort of melanin under the lip. So therefore, if your client wants a brighter, a more lively sort of pink result, right? You're gonna need to add a little bit of the orange, the neutralized color, into the mix of your target color. Meaning that, so let's say for this lip right here, number 5, natural Fitzpatrick 4, okay? I'm going to, and let's say she wants to achieve like a pink result, right? I can use like one of these color right here, but if I want to brighten it, I would need to add a little bit of orange in it, right? So that makes it to here, okay? Now, if you were to apply this color on Fitzpatrick 1, 2, 3, any of these, it will guarantee to look very orangey because they don't have the melanin under. All right. But if you were to apply that color on this lip, it will turn into pink because of the melanin that the slight melanin that is inherent in the lips. Does that make sense? So that orange will cancel out this orange that you're seeing in here, right? It will cancel out that melanin and bring it to just the pink. Okay. If you are working on, let's say, these lips right here, okay? The top is so dark versus the bottom, okay? So the top, you would, because and because it's purple, so you're gonna need to target it with like a yellow orange, something like here or like here, okay? When it has white in it, it's sort of like camouflage it, like bring it back to kind of like a, like giving it more light, okay? So that way we can top it with a more intense color on the top, okay? But that lip has like a purple undertone, intense purple. So you're gonna need to use like a yellow, orange, and maybe add a little bit of the white into it, okay? To help camouflage that, okay? And do maybe like 2 passes on the top lip. Neutralize it and then top it with one of these intense target color, like here, okay? On the bottom lips, as you can see, it's not as dark as the top. So maybe the bottom doesn't need like 2 passes of the neutralization, but maybe 1 pass of neutralization, okay? So when you're going straight with one of these colors, like really intense colors, anything that is like on this column, these columns right here, it's called neutralization. We're neutralizing the melanin, okay? The least melanin they have, meaning comparing like these lips with these lips, right? Obviously, these lips have less melanin than this, right? So the more melanin they have, you need to add the white in it to help further camouflage. But if they're not as dark as this, you don't need to add the white into your neutralization, okay? So the white, if you add white in, it's going to be like somewhere here. And can you see that the result from here to here, it's like more sheer, more light spaces, right? And we need this in order to further neutralize it, okay? All right. So we will talk more about neutralization when you actually have like a neutralization case, because lip blush is all about experience, okay? When you're new, I recommend not to take so many cases of neutralization. Start with like the natural lip blush first, and then transition as you're familiar with how colors work. Then you can transition yourself into doing neutralization. But if your clientele to begin with already are the type of clientele that require tons of neutralization, that's fine too. I'm always here to help, even post course. So make sure to take a picture of their lips, or have them send you a picture of their lips, and make sure it's like either in natural lighting or under one of those big ring lights so we can see the true undertone of the lip. Okay, because if they're just taking a picture of their lips under one of those fluorescent lights or bathroom lights or room lights, it's really hard for me to see what the true undertone of the lip is. Okay, to like really guide you with like the colors. So anytime when we're, talking about colors in PMU, colors is probably, it's easy, but then it's probably the hardest for you to like slowly learn how each color heals, and also each brand will heal differently too. So just be patient, take your time. I'm here to help you with like color choices and stuff like that, and go from there. But good news is with lip blush, you really can't go wrong with lip blush, unlike the brows. Remember how we talked about like on the skin, the color stays where you put, right? Lips, it just disperses the color. Okay. If you happen to use the wrong color on the lips, what does it do? The worst is just not gonna show, right? The worst is that the lip color doesn't change. So for lip blush, you really can't mess up the lips unless you go outside of the natural lips. That's where things go wrong. But if you stay within the natural lip, honestly, if you use the wrong color, nothing can go wrong. As long as you stay within the natural lip and don't go outside the natural vermilion border, then you're safe. All right? Okay, I will see you in the next chapter.